Welcome to Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about the 2019 film The Lighthouse, which was directed by Robert Eggers. I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Erik, and with us again is Justin Welikson. Justin, welcome back to the show.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
You're like the guest that's had the most frequency in the shortest period of time.
It's got to be a Guinness record.
It is so far. I'm it's happy to have. I'm happy to have you back, Justin.
I love having Justin on. I feel like we hit like the same wavelength at some point in every episode.
Yeah, we all get crazy. Just before anything, I just need to know, what do you guys think of the final song?
The sea shanty? I don't even remember how it goes.
To be honest, I don't remember either because I was sitting there like pretty like stupefied for 5 minutes. Like, what just happened? So,
it's like steady as she goes or something, right?
I really thought, Erik, I thought you were gonna love it because you're always like, oh, I love the like Downeaster Alexa.
I know some sea shanties like the Wellerman, like soon may the Wellerman come to ping us, like stuff like that.
Well, you also like that. Oh
Yo
my God.
ho, haul together, hoist the colors.
No. The one that you love. That's like
from Lord of the Rings, the one I said.
No. It's like dun 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 dun. What the hell is that song? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, shit.
Doesn't matter. I really thought you.
No clue.
Drawing a blank.
I really thought you'd love that ending song for some reason, Erik.
Yeah. I got it. I'm gonna get it tattooed on my back tomorrow or something. I don't know.
Good. So Justin, you were stupefied by the whole movie. Did you not enjoy it?
No, I liked it. This is what I'll say. I was coming to a conclusion yesterday. It's a good movie. I would definitely say, encourage people to watch it. I think it's one of those movies that you don't need to see again for a very long time.
Mhm.
Like, when you finish a movie and you're like, oh, I need to rewatch it because there's definitely stuff I missed. Like, there's not really anything you missed. Like, I wouldn't say it was bad though.
Whoa. What do you think,
Yeah.
Erik? What was your first takeaway?
Same with Justin. I'm glad I watched it. I wanted to watch this one. I loved the trailer. I thought it's a cool concept. I didn't love it. Whereas like with The Witch, like I went into that like same kind of feel. Like I want to watch The Witch. I love The Witch. This one, I feel like it was a tad long for the style. I thought Dafoe and Patterson's performances were fantastic. That's the best part of the movie. I felt like how do I say, like, the saying, like, too many cooks in the kitchen? I think this is like too many ingredients in the pie. They had way too much shit going on. Like, you had like, okay, so you had the seagull, and then you had mermaids, and then you had alcoholism, and then you had madness, and then you had he killed his buddy, and then you had Robert Pattinson killed his thing, and then you had like this like kind of sexual tension, and then it was just a lot in the lighthouse, and you had like a sea monster, and then you had and William Dafoe was like a god or a deity, and it was just wait, what's the main what all right, so what, like, is it Mother Nature? Is like, what's the theme? Like, what are we going with? Is it like gods? Is it?
I did some research after it because anytime I'm like slightly confused after a movie, I just like to read stuff, and it said that it was the guy who created it. I forgot what his name was.
Robert Eggers.
Yeah, he's really big into like Greek mythology into his movies. So it was talking about like Poseidon and Zeus, and how like at the end of the movie when the birds were picking at his organs was like the same thing that Zeus did to somebody. But I agree, there was a little too much going on. The first half of the movie was like a good pace. I was like waiting for something to happen, and then it got a little weird, and I'm like, okay, and then it got like really weird really fast.
See, Justin,
Yeah.
I couldn't disagree more with your opening statement where you're saying like you watch it once and you pretty much took it all in. Dude, I feel like you gotta watch this like 4 times to be like, is this really happening? Who's actually crazy? Are they both crazy? So I feel like you gotta watch this like 3 times. I don't know. You feel like you got it?
I mean, I got the gist of it. Like, some of the reviews I was reading was saying like, you're not meant to know what happened. Like, was Pattinson imagining all this? Like, was Dafoe? I thought Dafoe was fucking with him for a little bit. Like when he said like, we've been here for months. I'm like, have they actually been there for months? Was he screwing with them? Like, honestly, I was waiting for the end, and I was like praying this would have been the perfect ending. Like, if you showed Pattinson going crazy, and then the boat comes up, and they're like, he's like, where have you been? It's been months. He's like, it's been 4 weeks. What are you talking about? Like, and I was waiting for William Dafoe to be like, well, this was a test and you failed.
It's been 6 hours. Like,
Yeah.
The ship hasn't even left yet.
I think, like, there's a couple ways you can look at this, like, it is just a very straightforward movie of this, like, Willem Dafoe's crazy, he's been at sea for so long, he's just insane, and then Robert Pattinson's just this new guy, whatever, and that all that stuff that happens with him killing his old partner, like, that's all real,
Mm,
but
mm.
or you could kinda look at it like this island is cursed, and this is like a storm that's coming in, and the boat never shows up, and just there are mermaids and sirens and all this stuff, so it's like, there's a couple ways you can look at it.
I think the gods are punishing him for doing what he did to his old,
Yeah,
not William Dafoe's old partner, but Pattinson's, the person he took his identity.
right.
Remember when he's like, "You spilled your beans," like, the gods are mad at you. And also he did kill that seabird, and the gods didn't like that either. I think
Yeah.
there's that layer to it, but there's a lot going on.
Well, think about this, because they find Willem Dafoe's old partner's head in that lobster pot, and his eye's missing or whatever,
And the
and you
seagull's eye was missing.
yeah, and then you could look at it like maybe Willem Dafoe is, like, cursed to this place, and maybe he really is, like, one of Poseidon's, like, people and Davy Jones, whatever the shit he's spouting, and Robert Pattinson kills him, and then maybe he has to get stuck there and serve an eternal punishment too. I don't know, there's a bunch of weird ways to look at it.
It's a very, like, it's like New England meets Greek mythology. It's weird, you know? Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you
yeah.
guys notice, and it maybe I was imagining it, but like Robert Pattinson's accent changed multiple times.
It did. Only criticism I would give it.
I would think it was on purpose though.
Maybe, maybe.
I
Yeah.
saw it as he was going so crazy that like he had different personas, like because they were so drastically different.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just, kind of his, like, descent into madness, but there was, definitely a part where he was putting on, like, a JFK impression. He's like, "If I had a steak, I'd fuck it."
Yeah, there's that. There was, I mean, he started to, like, to mimic William Dafoe's, like, I'm a sea shanty guy. Like, and he would kind of sound like that to some degree too.
Well, yeah, I wonder if, like, because he started kinda, like, mimicking their relationship got fucking weird, but I always think
Yeah.
too, because he was, like, super anti-alcohol at first, he's just like, "No, you don't wanna see me on booze," and then by the end of it, you're like, "This is what
Well,
happens when I
you know what
drink."
happened, right? He didn't want to drink. That he
I
could.
know,
There's no water.
I know,
Literally, like, he's like, "There's nothing to drink but this shit, like the booze." So
I
he's like,
know.
I gotta drink something." Oh my god! Like,
Well,
imagine
Eric,
working and the only thing you have, like, shoveling coal, and the only thing you have is like, what are they drinking?
liquor,
Rum, vodka, rum.
definitely
Like, oh my,
some white li I
I
think it's
mean,
gin
oh,
maybe.
oh,
they
good
were
god!
basically drunk the entire
The
time.
entire time,
Like,
yeah.
well, at first I was wondering like how after 2 weeks, because half the time went by and he was going like pretty crazy, having like hallucinations. But then I realized like they're working different shifts.
Mm.
So he's going all day and all night without actually talking to anyone except for at dinner time.
No, I mean, yeah, except for that, like, little weird mermaid statue that he, like, hallucinates about, so
The scrimshaw, yeah, the one
yeah.
little. Oh my god.
But I was gonna ask you, Eric, that speaking of, like, The Hangover or whatever, like, dude, when they wake up, when they miss the boat
Oh
or whatever, and you
god.
see him immediately go
Oh
for the
man.
water pot and it's empty, and then he goes to piss and it's full. Dude, I know that feeling where you're like, "I'm so hungover, there's no
Yeah,
water
I mean,
anywhere."
waking up on a cold wooden floor without a blanket in the middle of the ocean, like, rain's coming in, the foghorns going off every 3 minutes, like, 30 seconds, 10
That's a
seconds.
hangover, that's the
Oh,
worst.
dude.
Yeah,
Hell
he's
on
like
earth.
he's
Hell
got
on earth.
a bucket of shit, and he's walking out into the rain. He's
That's
just
on
like,
him. When
"Oh."
he threw that out into the wind and it came back at him in the face, I'm like, "Dude, you should know better. That's on you, dude. That's on you." The guys are like, "We didn't mean," or Mother Nature's like, "We didn't want that to happen. You're an idiot for throwing that right into the wind." It was like the scene in Big Lebowski with the Folgers ashes and stuff. Like, what are you doing?
Well,
Yeah,
there's
that was a terrible experience.
apparently, there's a lot of similarities between this and, like, Edgar Allan Poe and stuff. I guess, like, the
Mm.
seagulls were supposed to be, like, the ravens that were, like, tormenting him, and then I do think once he kills that seagull, that's when all the shit goes crazy, and you see Willem Dafoe when they're at dinner when he whips that thing at him when he's like, "Don't you fuck with the gulls," or whatever. So something's up. Something is up.
Well, I'll say this. It is back to Poe. This is loosely based on Poe's last and unfinished story. It's called The Lighthouse, and it's a diary about a Norway, a lighthouse in the 1790s, and it's more of a, like, the lighthouse is falling apart because of weather, and it's more like a Mother Nature thing. But it's not finished. It would have been his last work. But like the seagull, you think of Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven. So there's like other Poe similarities.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, when I finished it on Amazon last night, I saw like 4 other movies called The Lighthouse, and they
Mm.
all had the same exact description. And one of them even said like loosely based on a true story, and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What?"
No, no, no. So this is actually based on a true story too, and I looked it up because at the end it actually says like the last bits of the credit says like this is based on true stories, like not even saying like not really based on real events. Like this is saying this actually happened basically. And apparently off the coast of Scotland in 1900, there were 3 men that were at a lighthouse for 4 weeks, and they came back and they were just 100% gone. There was nothing that looked like there was a scuffle or anything like that. And their entry was saying that there was a horrible storm. They were all writing about the storm that was happening,
Mm.
and they were saying that there was no storm at that time that would have done this, and they were just gone. So this is supposedly based on that story.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, like if you have two or three people on this island in the middle of nowhere, and there was like literally nothing to do, but except they were just doing manual labor all day and night, and
Mhm.
all you were drinking was like shitty homemade vodka. It would be pretty easy to like hallucinate without water and proper nutrition.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, I was thinking too, like, when he was bringing that oil canister, like, it looked like the keg up the stairs, I was like, "Dude, what if he just, like, pulled his back out or broke his ankle or something like that? What would they do? Like, what would they
Yeah,
do?"
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
a good point too. I mean, he's also hitting his head a lot. I mean, he
Oh
fell from
yeah,
that paint thing, which like apparently that he's like, "Ah, you're in good hands, lad." I'm like looking at that rope and it looks like it's from like Michael's Arts and Crafts, like twine. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
like that is not gonna hold. And then he like falls and hits his head. It's like he's concussed too, so it like deepens the madness. And he's
Same.
drinking on a
Dude,
concussion.
the first opening scene when he walks into the bedroom, he
Yes.
smacks his head on the roof. He's like, "Duh,
Yes, he's hitting his head every 5 minutes and sucking down Defoe's farts too, apparently,
yeah.
which,
They really like
they laid that
emphasized
down.
Defoe farting nonstop.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Amazon, I watched on Amazon too, and I watch every movie we watch on the wheel, I watch with subtitles on, and, like,
Oh,
the first, like, subtitle is blah, 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 farts, and, like,
Fart.
okay, and then, like, fart, like, it comes up, like, audible fart, audible fart. I'm like, "Oh my god, that sucks." Like, that's
yeah, this
so
if you don't
horrible.
watch this movie with subtitles on, you're
Oh, you're
crazy.
yeah, dude, you have to.
You're gonna miss half of it. But, I mean, Willem Dafoe's accent is incredible. He plays the best, like what's that guy from The Simpsons? Like, that, like, fucking s
Oh yeah, the like
captain.
piratey guy.
Yeah, he does the best impression of that, basically, but
So
that one, like, "Hark! Hark, Poseidon!" Like, that whole, like, monologue, I'm like, "Damn, that was, like, Shakespearean, that was crazy."
I will
Yeah.
say that I went in with good high expectations because I heard it was a good movie, but like I want to dislike Robert Pattinson, but he did a good job. Like
Yeah. He's a great
when he
actor.
like went crazy because he was working so hard, and like William Defoe wrote in his journal like should dock his pay. He's like lazy and like talks back, and he just lost it.
Yeah. No, he is. That's the thing. I think, like, everybody, especially of our generation, just has that, like, connotation with Twilight, and now, like, he's
No,
gotten
he
so far
hated
from
no
that.
one hated Twilight more than Pattinson.
I
Like,
know.
he hated that movie.
And he's gotten so far from that. I mean, he's done so much now. But I wanna know, like, what do you guys individually, like, what do you think actually happened in this movie?
I think okay, so like I said, they bring up a ton of things like gods, they bring up Mother Nature, they bring up Saint Elmo's fire being captured in the lighthouse light. They show the sea monsters, the mermaids. There's a lot going on. I think Pattinson either died or something and is in some kind of purgatory or hell being punished for what he did to his in his last job with that other coworker who like fell and there's a work accident and he took that person's name. I think that he's punished for doing wrong. And then he when the line like you spilled your beans, that's when it's like it's coming to like your punishment, your final moment.
Hmm.
You like you admitted it, like you now need to pass your judgment. That's what I got from it.
So you've taken more of, like, the supernatural, like,
For
mythical approach.
sure. Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
What do you think, Justin?
I mean, just watching it through and like not reading any of the reviews and stuff that I read after, I would say it just sounds like they went to this island and the really bad storm. Like I think they were probably there for a few months because like William Defoe said, like those guys were stranded for 7 months, and between the fact that they were there for a few months and Defoe was like just being so mean to him for most of it, and them drinking like shitty vodka, I think he just like hallucinated, and I think they just went crazy.
Mm. When I originally saw this movie too, I thought I already had it figured out, where it was gonna kinda be more like Shutter Island, like, not mental institution, but where there's like a schizophrenia thing going on where Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe are the same person, just
I read
past
about
and
that.
present, and they've been just talking to themselves throughout the years.
Yeah, one of the things I read actually said that they're the exact same person, and like William Dafoe is like the sane side of him because every time Robert was freaking out, William was like super kind and like, "What are you talking about? Like I've been so nice to you," and then it immediately switched to like Dafoe was so mean and a jerk, and like it just
Yeah,
kept going back and forth.
Well, something that
yeah.
supports that theory is when Robert Pattinson has the knife in his pocket, and then you hear him say, "Why don't you give me that knife in your pocket?" He wouldn't know that unless he was him, and he takes it and breaks it, and he's like, "I'll dock it from your pay." I mean, unless he counts the knives, he wouldn't know that Robert
Mm.
Pattinson had that in his pocket, so
Oh,
that
that's
would
a
kinda
good
make
point.
sense.
Yeah,
I kinda lean a little more towards your side, Justin, where I want it to be mythical, I want it to be all these cool things, but I actually just think that they're both crazy. I think there are
Yeah,
2 people on there because the boat did drop them off. So, I do think there are other people. I think that they go insane from lack of water, lack of
yep.
nutrition, lack of sleep, and they start seeing things, and then, the only thing that doesn't make sense to me is the boat not coming. I still feel like they would've came eventually. I don't know. It just feels like it never came. Oh, yeah, so at the end, this is one thing I was watching and I was just like, "I think this is it." You know, when he opens up, he finally gets to go to the lighthouse, he finally sees it, and he starts, like, freaking out and laughing or whatever.
Mm.
mhm.
What if it's nothing? What if it's just a lighthouse? And that's why he's laughing because he's just like, "This was all for nothing," and he's freaking out, and that's what makes him, like, fall backwards, and he breaks his leg and really does just get eat by the seagulls. He's
I mean,
freaking out,
it
yeah.
looked like that lighthouse was a Swarovski's crystal, dude. That thing looked like very nicely cut.
It
And
looked like a spaceship when he gets
yeah,
up to it.
exactly. Yeah,
But how crazy would it be if this literally was just all for nothing? Like, Willem Dafoe is just crazy, he's just up there, he's just fascinated with it, he's an alcoholic, he's just mentally losing it, and Robert Pattinson just needs to know what this is, and then it ends up just being nothing. We'll never know, but, like, I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's great about it. It leaves it up to the interpretation of the viewer. I mean, I agree with you, Alec. Like a big theme to this is boredom, loneliness, the life of a sailor. You're out, at sea for months and with there's no women. You're just with one other man. You start to slip into madness, and alcohol is involved, and it's boom. It
Yeah.
writes
Plus,
itself. It writes
William
itself.
Dafoe William
Yeah.
Dafoe made him do all the work, and he just like hung out in the lighthouse tower, and like he would not let Robert see it. And I think he just like he really wanted to know what it looked like. He just like
Yeah.
slowly went mad,
And they're
and then
drinking
you saw
gas
it.
at the end too. They're not even drinking booze. They're
Yeah,
drinking like whatever the
he
hell,
was
like
drinking the same
kerosene.
thing that powered the lighthouse.
Yeah, and
God.
then
Oh
they take a
my
sip and he just
god.
goes, "Monkey paw!" And he starts, like, banging his chest.
Like
It's like,
monkey.
"Alright."
Oh jeez, yeah.
They've gone nuts. But, yeah, there is a weird too, because like, their dinner scenes are obviously intense, but, like, there gets to be a point where they get so drunk and they kind of turn into, like, a couple sort of thing, where he's like, "You know you like my cooking," and he's, like, trying to, like, shit on him by being like, "Eh."
Dude,
Yeah,
dude, one of
fancy
the
my
funniest
lobster. Yeah,
one of the
fancy it.
funniest parts was when William was like borderline crying. He's like, "Just please say you like the lobster."
Yeah, but that's when he freaks out and does that whole hark thing, and he's like, "Curse you to Poseidon's grave," and he's like, "Alright, have it your way. I like your lobster." Like, something like
Yeah.
it's kinda funny.
One other thing I noticed too is the foghorn goes away.
Yeah, when did it?
I don't remember, but it really was happening at the beginning, like every 6 seconds,
Right.
and then it kind of slipped away. So I think that goes into the madness. Like they don't even hear the foghorn anymore because they're so deep in it.
Same thing, Eric, I noticed that towards the end, I was like, "Oh, the foghorn stopped," so I wanted to rewatch it to be like, "When does it stop, and is that moment
Yeah, that's
important?"
probably it's probably when he falls from the rope. Maybe I don't remember. But there's that, but also the light. The light like hitting the face. You go mad if a light was to hit you in the face every 10 seconds too.
Yeah,
And like that kind of goes away as well, like the light stuff.
that's
So
like
it's like
water torture.
all this stuff. Yeah, they're already mad. They're already beyond that. So now they're just. It's kind of cool they do stuff like that.
Well, they're both I've heard too, like, they're both, like, morally gray characters, and it's like, you don't really know who to root for because like, they're both kind of bad people if you,
Mm,
like, that deep down, and I heard that's part of the reason why it was in black and white because it's just like, this whole thing is just, like, moral ambiguity. I don't know if that's true or not, but I also was wondering why he shot it in that aspect ratio, like, that very square,
Yeah.
you
I
know
think that was the how they shot it in like the late 20s, early 30s, 1916 ratio. It's called movie tone.
Hmm.
So they wanted to like bring it back to like old 1920s, 30s movies, and had that feeling. I mean, and it kind of channeled actors like that acted back then, like Claude Rains and stuff like that, that had that like intense acting. They channeled that, I feel like.
Yeah.
I can tell you what scene I could have done without was when Robert was like angrily masturbating to that toy, and it was like the
Yeah.
Little Mermaid thing, and it was showing the sex scene, and I was
It's
like,
called it's called a,
this
it's
is
called a
over.
scrimshaw, Justin. It's a whale tooth and that's
And then
carved
like
into a mermaid.
the second he finished, he like fell on the floor and started crying, and I was like, been there, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
well,
it's like
just
stuff like that like makes you like, I'm so happy I live in the 21st century. Like that
right.
sucks.
I'm gonna say this because like we criticize everything, but it's like, dude, I'm sorry, but like if I was stuck in that lighthouse for that long, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be doing some weird shit too, probably. I'm like, I would never do that. And then like, you look at Tom Hanks, he's talking to a fucking volleyball with this like
Yeah,
handprint on it.
that stick's kind of cute. I don't know. That stick looks like she's got it going on.
That scene too where he starts to bury him alive and he's like reciting that thing with the dirt in his mouth. I was like, yo, this scene is it's just like it seems so real. I don't know. He
Mm.
seems like I mean, it is clearly the dirt's really getting in his mouth,
Oh yeah,
but
that's real. That's like they're throwing dirt in William Dafoe's face.
ugh, a lot of that stuff though, a lot of just like gritty, brutal stuff.
I think by the hour and like 22-minute moment, that's when I made a note where like when they decided to where Robert Pattinson, well, William Dafoe chops up the lifeboat, but then William Dafoe says, you chopped up the
Yeah.
lifeboat. But there was about like 30 more minutes left. And I think that was the point where I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. Like
That's the thing, though, is
that's
like it showed Defoe doing that, but like you don't actually know who did it.
That's the thing. I do think it was Willem Dafoe doing that though, because I think it was just him fucking with him. Because why would they show that if there was supposed to be? I don't know. So that's
yeah, that's why I'm saying there's way too much going on,
But
which is
like,
like it makes it good because it makes it crazy. But
was he fucking with them, or was Robert Pattinson just going crazy?
yeah,
Or
I
were they
know.
both going
I think they
crazy?
both were. I think William Dafoe went off on his alcohol too. Maybe I don't know.
I just popped in my head too about the Greek mythology thing too. I guess there's that Icarus story where he flies too close to the sun and then he falls and crashes on land or whatever. This
Right,
is kind of like
with
he
the
got
lighthouse.
exactly,
Yeah.
and then got pecked apart by the birds. There's also a line too where
Well,
Willem
whereas there's
Dafoe.
also Sisyphus too, who makes it up the hill. He makes it to the lighthouse and then he goes back down the hill.
Forget about
Remember,
that.
he rolls up a big rock up the hill. He's always trying to reach the goal at the top of the mountain, and then he just about reaches the top of the mountain, like Pattison getting to the top of the lighthouse and then falling back down. The ball rolls
Oh,
back down the hill. So there's a lot of like Greek mythology stuff.
I just want to know how he got outside and was naked though. You know, like I feel like he wouldn't just be like, I'm gonna take off all my clothes and crawl outside now, and then
What
Yeah.
about the scene with Robert Pattinson was like on his hands and knees, and like William Defoe was naked, and you heard the fog horn noise, and like the lighthouse light came through his eyes?
oh yeah, when he's like,
That thing is some kind of Neptune god stuff. I don't know what it is really.
yeah, those were definitely hallucinations. I think all the mermaid stuff was like anything that was like Poseidon or Neptune or mermaid related. I feel like that was all hallucinations.
You guys should look at the IMDb reviews, because like it was such a mix. Like some people were like, "Oh, it's so great and artsy and blah blah blah," and other people were like, "This is shit." And then someone else just commented like, "He's like everything was fine, but like a mermaid uterus, like really?"
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
that was
yeah.
the Mermaid Strange was a little
They like
much.
zoomed in on it. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
like
we
why.
don't do we need to see that? But
Yeah. Well, I know we've seen a few A24 movies. They're the company that made this, and they're just like the best horror company right now. I mean, they just did We Need to Talk About Kevin, Eric, and Hereditary, and Midsummer, and this, and Ex Machina, and so
yeah,
many good
they're
ones.
building a reputation where they make films that make you really think.
Yeah. The
You
Witch,
know,
too.
you know what? Like, yeah, you definitely have to think about it. But like, this is how I saw the beginning, middle, and end. Right? Like, the beginning, I was waiting for something to happen. The middle of it, like, I felt like you needed to be like not sober to start picking up on it. And then I felt like the director like just drank a whole bottle of acid, and it just like didn't make sense. Like it just he went so off with
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think that just adds to the madness too. He
It's
really
got
like
the
he's like, I want this in it. I want this in it. Like it's like I said, like too many ingredients in the pie, but it's like it's madness. It's like I'm adding carrots, I'm adding blueberries, I'm adding this. It's crazy.
The Witch to you though, Eric? Like, I feel like this was very similar to The Witch. I mean,
I
there's
like
like this
I think the witch had like one thing and it ran with that a little more.
okay,
This had a lot of like, oh, there's gods, there's mermaids, there's this, there's that.
okay, well
There's a lot.
The witch is like, okay, there's Black Phillip, there's the witch, there's Christianity. I mean, there's like it's kind of the same thing, like isolation in the woods, and there's like an omnipresent witch goat demon, and then there's the
Ah,
isolation on the lighthouse, and then
I
there's the mermaid.
I feel like I understood The Witch more than this, I
I didn't
guess.
really
Yeah.
like The Witch, to be honest. It
Yeah,
was just okay.
I like The
yeah.
Witch better than this, but it's the same exact production company, same
Yep,
writer,
yep.
same director,
No, I could
and
tell too, yeah, even without knowing that, yeah.
I think this guy just does a really good job of, like, really keeping it in the time period that it took place in, like, you believe this took place then.
Year is this
No,
supposed to be, like, early 1900s or, like
1890.
oh, it's 1890, okay.
Yeah, but honestly, like, I didn't even realize it. Like, halfway through the movie, I was like, when is this supposed to take place?
Huh.
What do you guys think? That scene where he was about to stab William Dafoe in the throat, do you think William knew or had no clue?
I don't think he knew.
Really?
No, because the only reason his eye even opened is because his foot, like, creaked.
But, like, why would he be standing over him?
Why would Willem Dafoe let him get that close, though? That's the thing.
I
Like,
I think he was just, like, fucking with him.
yeah, I don't
I think
know.
he wanted to see if he would do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't what do you think, Eric?
Yeah, maybe he was just messing with him in, like, some deep madness sorta way.
I mean, maybe. I just think, like, if he got that close with a knife, he could've just stabbed him so fast, unless Willem Dafoe is, like, super fast and just, like, with his
Because
eyes closed, but
even after he woke up, he closed his eyes and turned over, and he just stood there for a minute. He still could have killed him easily,
yeah,
and
I know.
he thought about it, and then he just walked back out of the room.
Well, right from that moment onward, it's just complete madness. Then it's just, like, axes at people, like, so they're I don't know, maybe he did know. Maybe he's just like, "Alright, now I know, so fuck you," sort of thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not not to mention when William Dafoe like cut his arm deeply with the axe, like between the loss of blood and like
Oh, dude,
obviously
you
going
might
into
yeah,
infection,
infection, yeah.
100% infection, like that dirty ass axe.
Oh, yeah. No water, no medicine, barely any food, but I love it at that point, like, once he hits him with the axe, like, "Alright, now I'm gonna kill you." Just whack
Oh
right in
yeah,
the head. Just, like, not even a second
immediately
thought.
ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's Willem Dafoe. I love because he wouldn't have died that fast from that dirt falling on his face, but I love how, like, Robert Pattinson's like, "Wow, motherfucker's dead," and then just, like, took his key, but well,
Yeah, I'm
he
not
looked
sure if
dead.
I thought he was suffocating from the dirt in his mouth, but like because he lifted his head up and he was super limp, so I was like, oh, he must be dead.
Yeah. No, I thought yeah, I was like, he really played that very believably,
Also,
but
did you catch that William Dafoe mentioned is going to Salem?
yeah.
So, and Salem is also right on the sea, so it's like, huh. Like, I would say
I don't
I
know.
kinda, like, overthought that. I was like, "Oh, maybe he, like, got with a witch
Well,
there," and
yeah,
yeah.
he said 13 Christmases he missed, and he had a wife and kids.
Oh shit! Yeah,
13
I totally missed it. I was like, "Oh, man, that sucks. You missed Christmas." Like, that's
Yeah.
all I thought about.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
but
"She never forgave me."
I think that's a part of this plot. I mean, too, because they coulda gone, like, when the mermaid showed up, I was like, "Oh my god, is this a mermaid movie? Is this a sea kraken movie?" When you see, like, the lighthouse octopus arm. It doesn't pick a direction.
Yeah, that octopus was, like, kink choking him while he had sex with the mermaid. I was like, "This is really weird."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
well,
think it's all hallucinations. I think
it's
they're
all
just
it's
like
all madness. It's crazy.
well, he
I
talks
like,
about getting scurvy and shit, so, like, I'm like, "Yeah, they're just losing their fucking minds."
yeah, I like when they were, like, asking each other's names for, like, the 3rd time in the movie, and he's like, "I'm Tom," and then Robert Pattinson's like, "Oh, I'm Tom," and they, like, kept doing it, and I'm like, "Wait, are they both named Tom? I don't understand."
Yeah, so wait, so why would he take that guy's name and everybody be like, "That's not your name." Like, you can't just do that. Like, I guess there was no Social Security numbers or anything, but, like
From what I read, he killed that guy named Winslow
yeah.
and was just for some reason assuming his identity, but then he was saying his name was Tom, and it just got weird.
He
Yeah.
talented Mr. Ripley at his ass. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kinda weird. It is weird that both their name is Tom, though, which kind of adds to that theory they're the same person.
I
I don't
That's
know.
what I thought it was gonna be going into this movie. I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like he goes to the lighthouse and he's been working there for, like, 50 years."
Mm. I love that shot, though, of where they're looking right into the camera, and then it, like, turns and it's the boat. I was like, "Oh, that's a really, like,
Yeah.
sick opening shot to the
I
movie."
I like the shot of them just standing in the rain too, that one
Oh,
It
shot.
was
yeah.
very, Shutter Island-esque opening.
Yeah.
For sure, just foggy. But yeah, you're right, Eric, where they're standing in the rain, they've got their, like, bags, they're just like, "Ah, they're not fucking
Yeah.
coming."
Yeah, one other thing I like too is, like, if you look at old, like, 1920s and 30s films like Frankenstein and Dracula, they always do, like, a nice wide shot of like the castle in the background, and they had like a really cool 30s-esque shot of the lighthouse that I thought was like, this feels like a 1930s film.
I
Mm.
like how there was no like food supply or anything. Like every day they had to catch crabs. Like the company they worked for, like I'm just trying to imagine them like, oh, like what will we eat on the island? They're like, well, you actually like have this crab net. Like good luck, I guess.
That's all you got.
That lighthouse needs an HR department. Let's start there.
Well, the other thing is too.
Workplace harassment is rampant.
Well, it's kind of bullshit too. It's not fair. Like they can't kill the seagulls. It's like there's so many of them. We could have like It's basically like they could have so much seagull meat. And he's like, "Don't you touch the seagulls?" It's like
Yeah.
there's
So
ample of them.
sailor souls get trapped in them.
Yeah, I know. Well, that sucks for them then. But it is true. Like the second he takes that one bird, I've never seen like such anger though. Like he
Oh,
does.
Oh,
he
dude,
was real mad.
that was like the scene with Hulk and Loki like ragdolling him just in Avengers, just whipping him. That was intense. That was a
Yeah,
lot.
I know. And I wanted to see like Willem Dafoe's reaction to that because I'm like, how's he gonna clean all that blood off the like I don't know cistern or whatever that thing was?
Can you imagine the conversation at dinner and William Dafoe's like, hey, did you see all that like seagull blood? It's like William and Robert Pattinson's like, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, he's like I don't know what you're talking about. It's just like,
Alec, do you remember the time that seagull took your grandma's meat thermometer? That she was like, "Don't lose this meat thermometer." And we're like,
yep.
"Okay." And then we went crabbing, and there was like hot dogs in the bag with the meat thermometer, and a seagull came and took the plastic bag with the meat thermometer and just went all the way out into the ocean. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And Alex is like, "My grandma's gonna fucking kill me, no!" And the seagull brought the bag back to land. I straight up grabbed a rock
Shut
and
the fuck up.
dude, I didn't hit it. I don't think I might have, but I John Elway'd this rock like the best throw, like Pedro Martinez, right at the seagull. What would you say, Alec? 50
Yeah,
yards?
Justin, he's not exaggerating. Like literally, he's not exaggerating. He picked up a rock. Eric, you hit it midair. It was.
Hail Mary.
He
This
picked up
friggin'
a
rock.
rock. Yeah, the seagull grabbed the bag. It flew up in the air. Eric grabbed the rock, threw it. It actually hit the bird, and then it dropped. Justin, I swear to God.
We got the meat thermometer back, but I couldn't do that again if I did it a million times.
No, this is pre-White Claw, Eric. This is back, this is back in the day.
This is my prime. This is prime.
Did you friggin' Chris Kyle snipe that bird?
Before I tore my rotator cuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is like 14-year-old Eric. But,
yeah.
Yeah, that really did happen though. Well, damn. Well, boys, you got anything else to say about the lighthouse?
Shot in 34 days. I wanted to say that too.
Impressive.
Wait, what?
All
Yeah.
shot in 34 days. Boom. Like,
Huh.
That is impressive. I mean, it's just two dudes. It must have been such like an intimate set because it's like probably like 10 people at most, just all in that little. They built that lighthouse too for this movie.
Well, if you look at the IMDb casting, there's literally 4 people. It's those 2 guys, Winslow, and the mermaid. That's it.
Yeah.
mermaid. Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised it didn't get nominated for more. It really didn't get like anything, even like the acting or the cinematography. I was just kind of like, or the set design. It's
Or
really.
maybe the sound, with
I
the
know.
foghorn. I don't know. Also, speaking of foghorns, I think I mentioned this in another podcast. I have a sound soother from Sharper Image from like 15 years ago. And, like there's birds and like waves crashing. There's a foghorn option on there. And I remember it is like this foghorn where it's like a foghorn goes off every 5 seconds. I don't know who needs that to sleep, but I want to meet those people. And I don't want to meet those people. That's a lie.
That's like the 4th time that's come up in this podcast. So we've
I
talked
know.
about like in the fog, in this movie, in the Twin Peaks episode. Like, foghorns.
No, dude, it's still it makes me like, who listens to that to go to bed? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know either. We'll meet him one day. We're gonna meet him.
People that maybe were a wiki in a lighthouse. I don't know.
Yeah, wiki. It's like, what makes you want to be a wiki? I was like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Well, all right. What do you say? Spin the wheel, Eric.
All right. Oh, it's spinning. I'll pull it up. I'm gonna pee so bad. Sorry. All right. And spinning. The Grudge.
Ooh,
Oh.
we got Zach Simpson coming back to compare The Ring and The Grudge with us. So that'll be fun. Justin, thank you again, dude. We'll definitely have you back on in the future with the Sci-Fi Summer coming up.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Justin, for joining the show. Appreciate it, and always great having you here.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, well, we'll see everybody next week with The Grudge.
Woo.